Hello, welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, easy for you to say. You can chat alongside us here on Facebook. So good evening to my Facebook viewers as well as on YouTube. So hello to my YouTubers. Let's see. Tonight's topic, Amity, the Redux. So let's get right to introductions since, as you can see, we have a very full house. Let's start with Jason Richards. Good evening, Jason. Wait for it. Go.
Oh, good evening, John.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's why you need to unmute us earlier in the show. Man, you give this man power, and it goes right to his ball.
Oh, looks like your audio just cut out. Okay, over to you, Juan. Good evening.
Acacia Lodge number 16.
Everyone. Brother Juan Sepulveda here from sunny Kissimmee, Florida, and the brother behind the Winding Stairs Freemasonry podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Juan. Robert, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Sorry, I unmuted myself. I don't know if John, whatever. Anyway, Robert Johnson, past Master Waukegan, sitting secretary at Spitz Novum Lodge 1183 in Illinois. Thanks.
It's good to be king. All right, next up, we have, for one of our three special guests tonight, Brother Jeremy. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, brother. Jeremy Barnes here, past master of Potomac Lodge number 5 in Washington, D.C., and one of the guys behind Amity.
All right. Next up, also on the Amity crew, is Brother Michael. Hello.
Hey guys, thank you for having us here. My name is Michael Radigan. I'm one of the co-founders of Amity, and I am the sitting master of Independent Royal Arch Lodge number 2 in New York, transitioning my way to being a hopefully grumpy past master soon approaching the fall.
Yeah, I don't want to hear how hard it was during your year, so welcome.
In my year, we had meetings.
In my year, we had meetings. Love it. And finally, last but not least, we have Brother Joseph. Good evening.
Hey there, guys. Brother Joseph Grabowski, the presumed incoming junior deacon for Independent Royal Arch Lodge number 2. We'll be holding our vote and installation in September.
Now you've jinxed it, so yes, good.
I know.
Well, it's great to have you.
Next the incoming master.
Yeah. No,
I can assure you it'll go that way.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, nowadays you can only jinx it by getting more years in the East. Yep. So, as always, we do want to give a special shout out to the patrons who support the show, keep this going for many years to come. If you want to support the show, go over to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable and chip in a few bucks to help this thing going. So, tonight's topic, Amity Redux. We've had you guys on the show before, but a little birdie tells me that you may have something new up your sleeve. So tell us a little bit about what's been going on with Amity lately.
Yeah, for sure. So we are really excited to announce Amity version 3. It's a ground-up rewrite of everything about the app, new technology and new functionality in every single piece. So it's kind of hard to narrow down the list of what's awesome about it. Some of our favorites, though, are actually building King Solomon's Pass into the app, so you can now launch your status right in the app.
So quick question. So we didn't do a recap of the last one. So what is Amity? For those of you just getting to this episode, what is Amity?
If you've been living under a rock for the past 2 years.
What does it do for you?
So now, what Amity does is Amity helps you find now masonry near you. Originally, this started where, we wanted to find lodges. We wanted to find lodges where you were, near you, and also know the recognition information in an easy way for those brothers who are traveling throughout the world. That has since turned into Amity 3.0. And that basically is Masonry Near Me, which we're continuing to build on, because it's not just the lodge that's near you. It could be the appendant body. It could be the business. It could be all sorts of things that could help a traveling brother.
Now, look, I have the list of lodges Masonic. I mean, that's all I really need, right? I mean, why would I need something as high-tech that I always have with me at all times?
Do you always have the
must
list
have
of
some
lodges
deep
with you at all
pockets.
times? It's not a small book.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
what's
Jeremy,
also
I,
rating.
too-
I keep that list of lodges book in my back pocket all the time. It's this thick. It often has amazingly outdated information. Is really dependent on other Grand Lodges to contact my Grand Lodge, and it's just a real big mess. But I love it so much.
Yeah, if
So
I'm
I'll tell you
ever
one
caught
thing that's
without
really
this
cool.
thing, if I'm ever caught without this thing, it makes for great bathroom reading.
Let the
Well, and
record
I
show
bet you'd
Jason
actually
was
prefer to
holding his phone. Just want to make sure for the audio
Right.
only listeners, that's the
Yes.
thing that he was holding.
I bet you'd prefer
Thank
to
you,
lose
John.
your wallet over your phone these days, right? So the one thing that we can basically say most Masons will have these days is their phone. I mean, over 85% of Americans now have a smartphone. Now, maybe the 15% are all Masons, but that doesn't change the fact that we've got 50% more lodges than there are in the book, right? We have all the almost all the Prince Hall lodges, for example, within the United States and around the world. And there are only 4 or 5 Prince Hall Grand Lodges in the book. So, our work has been over the past almost 5 years now, building those relationships so that we have a stable, useful tool so that anywhere in the world, any of the 40,000 Masonic lodges in the world, you can understand where you stand against them.
Now, one thing we were talking about in the green room earlier, like it sure must be a hard job to keep track of every member who's adding and leaving the fraternity. So, a membership portal is a really hard thing.
Absolutely. And, that's one of the reasons why the position that we've taken is we're not trying to take over your membership management system. You have Mora, you have Grandview, you have your own home cooked thing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge at some of the Grand Lodges in the room. And that's fine.
What?
Our goal is to be the grease between the wheels.
No, but I think it's a really important point because, to be honest, it took me a little while to realize that's the secret sauce that you guys have, is that you are like glueware between all these other established membership systems, right? You are not there checking dues cards and making sure that someone just joined Grand Lodge of Virginia, let's add them to our database. That's not at all what you guys do. In fact, all you're doing is connecting the gold copy databases that are out there in a much more user-friendly interface than the list of lodges Masonic, which, again, who knows how often they update it. I know they don't. And then all these other interfaces of how would you look that up? How would you get some relevance of near accurate information?
Well, and you go to almost over 100 countries now, and okay, you have system X, whatever your system in your Grand Lodge may be. 90% of the world is not going to know what that system is. But what we're finding is we've become the household name for, hey, where is this lodge? Who are these people? And so whatever your system is, we can bring that, to them wherever they are.
One of the great things that we've added now too is not only can you go look at these lodges, but you can find out a lot of times information about them. We might have the lodge seal or photographs of the interior or the exterior of the lodge, and we're constantly building and adding more because we believe that this is a continual education and experience of knowing where Masonry is around you. One of the great features that I particularly love is now searching lodges by name. This has never been done before. In fact, particularly in our lodge, there's 11 lodges throughout the world that are named with a royal arch in the lodge name. It's us in New York and 10 in Scotland. And so nobody's ever been able to really do that before unless they literally went through that book constantly with one particular name, and been able to really, get some statistics and some data when it comes to scholarly work.
I have to say, Mike, one of the things that you said in there was experience. And that's really what I like about the app is I'm a beta tester of it. So when there's an update, I try to get on top of it and get in there and check out and see what's
See us
new.
at our ugliest.
I
We
do,
appreciate that.
but the thing is that I see like a really cool feature and I'll like click on it. It's like not quite ready, and I'm like, ah! But like, what's so exciting is like is the experience of doing that and seeing the history. I like opening it up and seeing kind of like there'll be the scrolling at the top of the lodge of the day or whatever, and I don't know, it just feels really cool, the connectedness and what you mentioned, Mike, like the ability to search lodges by name. So in the corporate world, is a lot of folks listening and on the show know corporations love to silo themselves and nobody talks to anybody else and everything's a damn secret. And it's just like, for what reason? Zero good. Zero good. You're protecting nothing except for like quality and experience. And for the first time ever, right, you guys have like a large house where the information is held for the first time ever. I just keep thinking about how John was doing membership statistics stuff and was having to go and pull volumes off the shelf and do all this crazy work that just probably was just a world of suck. And I can only imagine, like, if you wanted to do what Mike, what you mentioned, look up lodges named Royal Arch. Like, I could only imagine the books you'd have to go through and the traveling you'd have to do. And then, God forbid, you actually reach out in the age of information to a Grand Lodge secretary without going through the proper channels. You probably get expelled. So it just doesn't make anything easy.
Some have gotten close, as you know.
Yeah, well, me too. So don't worry. But what you guys have all done is approach Grand Lodges with the air of respect and everything that they've gone through, and you've earned trust, obviously, and they're trusting you to put this stuff together. And this has just never been done before, and it's just wild. It's crazy that it's only now happening, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's why, one of our taglines is today's technology for the world's oldest fraternity, right? In a lot of ways, this isn't necessarily rocket science, but what it is putting technology together in ways that Freemasonry's never had before, and all of you can appreciate, for example, we now have a media library in the app, and that includes almost 30 podcasts and blogs, all the big ones, all of yours, Freemasonry for Dummies, all the way down to some smaller ones. And to my knowledge, we're really the only app that's ever put it all in one place and said, if you want to learn about Freemasonry, here's a great set. And it's not just a list. There are plenty of websites out there with, let me give you a list of podcasts. You can actually listen to things in the app, right? And read things in the app and not have to, search around 100 different sites. And we're super excited to say, look, we're serving the brethren with this repository of knowledge. It's not ours. We brought together the best of the world and said, we want to curate it for the craft. Who's that guy?
So who's that guy? So I brought up on my screen the web interface, which is not as cool as the app. So definitely download the app, which you can find in the app stores, right? But this is kind of the web interface where you can kind of see your member profile. You can see the membership status. You can see the Grand Lodge I'm under, and all that. And so
it needs review, John.
Yeah, they just don't let anybody
it's interesting.
in.
Click on that.
Okay.
Click on the needs review. So yeah, hopefully it won't break. Great. So this is something that we try and be really clear about with Grand Lodges, right? This is not our data. All we are is a conduit to make the Grand Lodge's data public. And in the instance where we don't have data or we can't communicate in real time with the Grand Lodge, then we say that. And we don't make a statement that says this is Amity's data. No way, right? Either we can get it from the Grand Lodge and we tell you, or we can't.
and that's public to only verified Masons, just to be very clear. So this is information that would only be shared, when you're a verified Mason, is we feel like that's the next step. And in your instance, we were able to tell that your membership was verified at a certain point, but it's not actually in real time as if we have in some other jurisdictions with automated systems put in place.
So we're now up to probably about 60, 70 Grand Lodges around the world where we can do real-time status, and that's grown on a regular basis.
Jeremy, Mike, I was wondering, given the, I don't know, all your favorite websites now have to do new security protocols and whatnot. There was a major snafu not too long back where a Grand Lodge membership program had a back door that was not really secure for folks, and we won't talk about that, but there's this huge issue of internet security. And one of the things that I really like about Amity is that because you guys don't quote unquote own the data, it really goes back to Grand Lodges. But the question I guess I have is, how do you guys feel about, and have you done anything, and are you guys all compliant with a lot of the new internet security protocols that are coming out, especially like in California and whatnot? And if I could have a secondary question is, what do you think is going to happen with those kinds of security protocols with Grand Lodges who don't adhere to those?
So that's a thorny question. I'll take the easy one first. We've complied with GDPR in Europe and CCPA in California since before they were actually not enacted. Obviously, we needed to know what was in them, but since they became enforced, right? So that sort of security is core to us. A lot of people say, "Oh man, this is just drama. I hate doing it. It's such a pain in the neck." From my perspective, this is the minimum that we should be doing, right? I mean, last October, the Grand Lodge in New York got firebombed, right? Before that, one of the New York lodges in Beirut had a fake bomb left on their doorstep, right? We in the US don't always think that it's dangerous to be a Mason, but under GDPR, the fact that you're a Mason is actually the highest controlled piece of data because it shares your ideology. And so for us, the minimum standard is I never want to wake up and find out that somebody got killed because they found out they were a Mason and we had anything to do with it. So our minimum standard is we don't share, right? So we've started with that as a baseline and gone from there. But that just means, hey, all we really need to do to comply with this stuff is write down that we do, because we've been doing it. That said, to your question, and I don't want to take the whole floor, but it's a really interesting one. My personal opinion is where we're going to get with Grand Lodges is where the rest of the world is getting, which is the Grand Lodge needs to know that I have my degrees. They need to know what lodge I'm a member of. But the question of what my email address is and what my address is and what my phone number is, that's my data, not the Grand Lodges. And so what I would recommend, and what we do recommend to any Grand Lodge that we have a conversation with about is, what should be on your petition? A data use agreement. Because I don't know about you, I'm a member of 2 Grand Lodges, and neither of them asked for permission to process my data.
I love that.
Yes.
Wow.
And I would,
this has actually
I will
been,
never wish it on anyone, but you got to realize if any Grand Lodge gets hacked in any way, right? The liability that they are open to is massive, because nobody's actually taken the step to say, guys, we have your data, can we use it? And of course, everyone will say yes, but no one's asked.
It was about a year and a half ago, skulking around dark web, we found something like 20 Grand Lodges or more that got doxxed. All their so Anonymous actually for a time being had Freemasonry like objectively as a target, quote unquote, and we got doxxed, and there were like 20 Grand Lodges that all the Grand Lodge officers' email addresses, phone numbers, and home addresses were just out there. We had one of our brothers try to reach out to the Grand Lodge and almost got expelled for, just calling to say, hey, your stuff's out there.
Wow.
Bureaucracy. That's
Yep.
a different show. But yeah, the data security issue is huge.
Well, it's like
This has been
it's
You
like
can't
really
understand.
it's like back in my year in the East. I remember asking not to have my home address on the on the district directory in the Grand Lodge directory, and the district deputy who wrote me back just said, "Okay, James Bond."
Oh, please. That's why I gave
I'm
a
like,
Google Voice
No,
number.
this is
Mhm.
yeah. No, you have to
But you know what
protect
the
your
funny
personally
thing is,
identifiable information.
there are Grand Lodges where that's not a joke, and I don't mean ones here in the United States, but like people don't think about it. Uber has actually been considered a national security threat because of how many congressmen they ferry around.
Right.
You wouldn't think that, but when they know all their travel habits and they can get hacked, it's just a taxi company. Okay, but you know, we pride ourselves on being an organization that attracts people that are in these areas, and we have to pay attention to that.
So another question. I'm a turtle in the herd of the vile and impious wretches, and let's just say I want to have recognition for other turtles. How would I add that to the app?
We're getting there. So if you want to show that screen again,
Yeah, that's what I was looking.
You'll see the other ones on the side.
Oh,
So this is
Scottish
something that's kind of in our skunk works. We're actually having some discussions with a few appendant bodies about doing real time status verification with them as well. And in the near future, you'll be able to add all those memberships in Amity as well.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty
So
cool.
we're really excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that some people might not understand when you say real time, and I'll just put up mine, not online, but let's see here. If I click this button, I can kind of show it there. I don't know if it'll come through. But at the top, right, you'll see the light. Anyway,
Angle it down.
Angle it down. Does that work?
And in front of your face more
Yes.
is part of the problem.
Yeah, shush.
'Cause it's
All right,
focused.
Grandpa.
Well.
There you go.
Ah, there it is. There kind of. There you go. So if you can see, it says like 15 minutes ago or whatever, because I opened the app right when we started the show, and it counts seconds. Like it's actively, it actively pings this stuff. So that's what I really love is you could start a conversation with somebody, and you'd know when they got expelled.
But to the
That's right.
second when they got expelled. Wait for it.
Provided that Grand Lodge updated their information.
And has a real time database. But wait for it, and now Robert's expelled. All right.
We should have worked with your Grand Lodge,
Again.
Robert, and made that happen during the show just for kicks.
Yeah, just for kicks.
I am sure there are people in my Grand Lodge that would have loved that practical joke.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't a practical joke.
Robert, we fixed the glitch. You have to go talk to accounting about that.
Good thing I'm over in Massachusetts. And
If they move my desk one more time, I'll burn the building down.
I'm going to burn the
Jeremy got a
fraternity. It's good.
This is exciting to have the real-time status, and when you think about things, it's just a transition again in Masonry. The reason why initially we had certificates and dues cards was because people started learning the modes of recognition, and so we had to have some sort of certificate or something that went along with your good standing. Well, as time has progressed, these things can also be altered and carried around beyond that there's a certain action taken upon your status. So having this real-time technology allows us to really know who is a Mason at that moment, and it's really revolutionary, and it's exciting to be a part of it. just like the whole thing with the GDPR law. One of the most humbling things is, I think, Amity being a bit of controversy, to share and for people to be, involved in the process. We've literally had, I've had grand officers who are like, you're in complete violation of our policy, and hang up on me. And, weeks later, maybe months later, they come back to us understanding, what our point of view is and what the law is. And then they're happy to work with us. So like everything, it's just going to take some time. But, we're happy to be here and make these big changes.
So what are some of the big changes in the version 3.0? Because I think the last time we talked, we had like the whole Alexa integration, and you could see if Jason was banned from the fraternity just by asking Alexa. What do we have now?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the biggest changes we have now is the guy down at the bottom of the screen here, which is Brother Joseph. Brother Joseph has actually been with us since the last time we've been on the show, and I'm going to let Joseph take it away and share some of the new upgrades to the new app.
So every time you get a version upgrade, you add a member of Kapiri?
That could be the case.
Okay,
it could be the case, but probably not.
It's version 3. As I like to joke, we already had wisdom, we already had strength, and they needed beauty. So that's where I came
Hey-o.
from. Jeremy never likes that response very much, though. But really, we've added so much to the app to make it more intuitive and to make it something that you want to continually visit. So we already mentioned, the masonry near me, but that's something that I really like, to be able to just find. I just moved to a new town in a different, in a different state, and I was easily able to find that there's a lodge that's, just a couple blocks away from me. So I'm super excited that once everything starts, I'll be able to visit them. But we also, we talked about the Masonic Media page, and something that I really like is the Lodge of the Day. So now at the top, there's this nice table card that shows you a lodge that's somewhere, in the world. Right now mine has...
Sorry, the audio switched off there,
Kentucky.
but yeah, I've got Jason's lodge right here. Look at that. It was totally not planned, but...
Nice. But yeah, we have lodges from all over, and that's something that we're showcasing both in the app and with a weekly Travel Safely Tuesday, where we're highlighting lodges from across the world that have some interesting history and beautiful architecture.
Awesome. Sorry about that.
And then...
Go ahead.
Okay, and then something also that I really like to love, we've completely reworked the meeting function. So now if your secretary creates a meeting for your lodge, when you open up your app on that day, it'll ask you if you'd like to check in. So there's no more typing in a code. You're just able to go directly into it and say, yes, I will attend. Yeah, so it definitely makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that's something I had thought about for a while, because I was early into checking into stuff, when there was an app called Foursquare years ago, right? And it was a cool thing to do, that you check in that you were at this location, and then eventually, marketers got a hold of that, and you can get 10% off a burger if you check into our restaurant. But yeah, then immediately the Masonic mind kicked over and said, wouldn't that be great to just check in the lodge, and you update, let everyone know you're there, your attendance gets recorded. You could do some really cool stuff with that data. Also, just to nerd out for a second too, it would be fun to have a trial run of a lodge and let them just really kind of use this with all the bells and whistles to do some really cool things. For example, as a membership guy, I would love to see running heuristics of active members in my lodge, right? And have them check into every meeting, and then to see hey, wait a minute, Juan started dropping off. Maybe we should pick up the phone and call Juan and see, are you okay, brother? What's going on? And that could do a lot for membership retention. That could do a lot for just knowing what's going on in your lodge. You could do some really cool stuff to say, like, hey, how come half the people stopped attending when Jason got installed? Oh, well, maybe we need to fix that. So just the power of just all that checking in of data, because right now it's usually captured in someone's secretary's log, and it gets put up in the archives of the lodge. You never see it again.
It's called We're
So
Dying.
you hit a lot of
not
nails on the
refining.
head. That's absolutely where we're going. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, that's fine. I was just quipping.
But one of the things in this area that we've definitely added. Go ahead, Jerry. Is just that is the whole plural membership. So this was another huge lift for us that people had requested for many years now. So this is all tied into the checking in and the meeting function, where now you can also have plural memberships, and as well as we're separating that, to actually have a Grand Lodge membership and your lodge membership. And this came from getting nerded out a little bit ourselves with just having so many jurisdictions out there with different offices and positions that, nobody wants to sit there and scroll through 1,000 positions, every time they go to one organization. So by us trying to kind of, put the right offices and the right positions in the right areas, we've been able to kind of lay this out appropriately. And it's really a great system now. So it's been a big lift. It's Jeremy's baby.
Now, Juan, I saw you were getting ready to jump in. Go ahead, Juan.
Yeah, I was curious because we, of course, know how reluctant to change our organization can be at so many levels. I know John's surprised by this one.
What?
But what? No. I was curious to hear from you if you've seen any kind of patterns of adoption and activation. Like, where are you seeing lodges and districts and countries that are actually becoming very engrossed in the utilization of Amity, if that's something that you're willing to share?
Yeah. So one of the really great things that has been happening, I would say, in any jurisdiction that actually embraces it. It doesn't matter where it is. I would say the Grand Lodge of Kansas is a great example. I mean, they're constantly reinvigorating and using newer things. In New York, we've done it for all of the dues cards in New York. They have an Amity QR scan, and what it's done is actually getting everybody involved at a grassroots level. You'd be so surprised how many people have contacted Right Worshipful Schultz, the Grand Secretary of New York, saying, "Hey, please update my information. Who do I pay my dues to?" And the Grand Secretary has to redirect him back to his secretary. I mean, these things have been really helping in a way in getting younger people excited. There's always going to be people who are not going to want change, but you know what? The truth is, change is happening around us every second of every day, and we either have to face it or it moves on beyond us. I mean, so that's the way we look at it.
Mike, to your point about the idea of change happening around us, at no other point in I don't know, our history right now, I guess, anything that we would remember, has technology played such an important part in the way Freemasonry has continued through this global pandemic. We've seen Grand Lodges make digital pivots across the world right now. My Grand Lodge announced a month and a half ago that they're going to use, Zoom webinar, and they're going to pay for some third-party voting app that, I don't know, it's Chicago, so I don't trust it, but you know what I mean? Like, there's all this crazy stuff that's going on, and everybody's really excited for Masonic education online, and people are asking questions like, if we're getting what we want online now, why go back to a lodge? There's all these things, but I like overwhelmingly the idea of technology is the reason that's like, because of tech is why Freemasonry is still happening. And here is, and that really, I think, in a way, is like a proof that Amity has been there before and will be there after, and is a part of that same kind of solution. It's like, hey, look, you guys just discovered this. We've been telling you about this for years now. So in a way, this is a big step, I think, in recognizing the genius of the program. Um, and I don't know, man. I just think that as we've kind of forced the issue through this pandemic, we've forced their eyes open. What you guys watch? It was like Clockwork Orange, Ludovico or whatever. They like have their eyes like peeled open.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it doesn't turn out completely like that.
Bad analogy, but I'll run with it.
To tie John and RJ.
It was a great analogy.
Right?
What are you talking about?
I'm skipping it because it scares me. But I do want to step back to something that John said and tie those two things together, right? Because as we're looking at our pivot towards masonry near me instead of just find a lodge, it's easy to say, oh great, well we'll add in Scottish Rite and High 12 and whatever appendant body you want and that's masonry near me. But I think the more important thing is saying, well, hey, it's lunchtime. You're going to walk down the street and go to Chipotle or Subway or whatever your favorite spot is, but did you know that a Mason owns the diner around the corner? Wouldn't you rather go spend your money on lunch with him? Right? And now what we're doing is using technology to actually allow Freemasonry to impact us and say, I got to eat. The food's good. It's a fair price. No one's taking advantage of each other, but we just didn't know that we could do this. Right? And so for us, masonry near me is not just where's my meeting, it's where are my brothers.
I like it. So a lot of your like King Solomon's Pass and everything has been based on like a QR code like interaction or check-in and stuff. But I want more tech. So I would like to see something like NFC being used, where I could just bump against a brother's phone and see this connection happen in real. Oh well, look at! Don't tell me you have that already in work. Right?
So we now as Masons have secret decoder rings, and you can have my background. But if I just wave my ring in front of my phone and then tap it, if I actually hit it, hold on a second. There we go. That actually loads in this case, Hiram Abiff's dues card. But it can be anybody who happens to be wearing a ring like this. This will be launched in maybe about 2 months or so. But there's your NFC technology, right? I mean, we as Masons always talk about the fun that we can have, and this is secret, and we've got 20 dues cards in our pockets, and now they're just all on your finger.
So what if somebody challenges your light and you can't defend it, and they take it from you?
They take your NFC square and compass ring.
Well, for a lot of us, that means they're taking the finger while they're at it, and I think that's probably a discouragement for committing a crime like that.
I have to say I love this, right? And there's so much like cool, I don't know, historical mythologies that you can bring along with it. Like I'm just like instantly like,
you're a Tolkien fan. It's okay.
Show me like the King Solomon's ring, with the Solomon seal, and you wave it in front of it. There's so much you can do with that, and I think it's so exciting and new. And what I love is it integrates into something that that we all love, and that is kind of the idea of I don't know. There's a danger there, but I guess the idea of consuming, Masonic products and things with it, not losing sight on certain elements. But
Masonic geocaching.
Well,
that's
I
what
want
you
to be
could
clear
do.
though.
That's already a thing.
But you could have an NFC hidden like in like the one copy of Mackie in your lodge, and you could see how many brothers will actually read the book by scanning it.
So we've actually been in discussions with a few jurisdictions about saying, hey, you know what? You've got a Masonic statue somewhere. Why don't we put an NFC dot and you wave it in front of that statue? And that could be something that helps the public understand what Freemasonry is. Right. And I think it's important to realize that this isn't something that we're doing, we're making money and what have you. Like, we see this as transformational technology that helps every facet of Freemasonry. because what we're having conversations about now is, okay, in Grand Lodges where you have to pay your dues once a month and you go to lodge once a week, great, wave your King Solomon's pass, your ring, or whatever it may be when you walk in the door, and if it flashes red, okay, pay your dues. And all of a sudden what we've done now is say, this is not about Amity's trying to get in the lodge or get in the replace the Tyler, but it's saying if you haven't kept up on your obligation, right, you should be incentivized to do that. And awareness is the first step. And if we can help people say, great, it's time for me to pay my dues, I'm going to do that, walk into lodge, we view that as a help for the lodge, for the Grand Lodge, and ultimately the brother, because the lodge and Grand Lodge are able to provide the experience that they should have.
Technology allows us more time to do ritual and make more Masons. It hands down.
And to read more minutes.
It's helping us all out.
And argue over the gas
bill
bill
anytime soon.
Yeah.
So just hear me out. Masonic themed Pokemon Go.
Gotta catch them all.
It's
catch
like
all
the
the
statues,
lodges.
though, right?
Yeah, lodges.
Catch them
statues.
all like degrees.
No. What? Well, we do have like the traveling
Titles.
gavel. The traveling gavel is a common thing, right? Where you encourage people to travel around. Like, hey, you could do that digitally. That's interesting.
Absolutely.
And by doing it digital,
I'm biting my tongue because there are a few things that we don't want to announce yet. But you're not far off. I'll give a little credit here to Juan, because one of the things, I know it's tough, but one of the things that he brought up that we've taken a shine to is, hey, look, if we can be confident that we're going to treat your location with the security it requires, and you're comfortable giving your location, why can't I tell you, hey, you're driving down the street? And as Juan would say, Starbucks yells at me and says, come buy a coffee when I drive by. Why couldn't we, look, you got 5 minutes, go to our lodge. Maybe not 5 minutes, but you know what I mean? There's one right around the corner. You didn't even know it.
Well, and
Again,
most lodges are
just...
most lodge buildings have, public addresses and public records. So it's not even like it's technically sensitive data. You can find it on Google Maps.
It depends on where it is. Some jurisdictions, not so much.
Fair.
Well,
we actually have
could
some
be like
undisclosed
Maury.
locations in the app that you can't find.
It could
And
be
we
like
still
Maury.
we still continue. We definitely will continue with that. That is definitely a requirement in some jurisdictions, and we want to adhere to that. We want to give them what they need to do masonry in their jurisdiction.
Yeah, I think that what is nice too is that you guys have added an element of control, and like over your own data, and I like that because something that has happened in a lot of states, like I love Maury. I think it's a great system. It's really helpful. But I'll tell you what I didn't like was waking up one day finding out that all of a sudden my lodge had a Maury website that was higher ranked SEO than our actual lodge website.
Wow.
That was baloney. So I actually had to send a request through my Grand Lodge to the folks at Maury, or what they're calling themselves now is not Maury, and I forget. Not a disrespect, I just forgot. And so I said, "Hey, how do you turn it off? I don't want it." Right? Because it lists. There are certain things it lists automatically. Our address, a Google Map thing. So what did I change it to? I went into it and I changed our address to space-time coordinates of the planet Earth. Because it's not like certain lodges aren't all about membership. They have a more exclusive kind of attitude, or gosh, like you mentioned, if you're a lodge abroad, you don't advertise where your meetings are. I was invited to go speak at a lodge, not in Lebanon. Maybe it was Lebanon, and I asked a couple people who might be in this room and a couple others. I said, "Is that safe?" And they said, "No." And that lodge doesn't.
You may want to stay the hell home.
So, but that kind of thing happens, and I just think that I don't know, going back to some Grand Lodge policies, and in no fault of the Grand Lodge, these people, most Grand Lodges are run by people who are not, data security experts or anything. So when it sounds cool, it sounds cool. But I just like the amount of control and for instance, Mike, Jeremy, when you all reached out about saying, "Hey, are you guys cool with us having? You want to submit something to like have your lodge be a featured lodge of the day?" We said sure, and you guys mentioned just send us a picture with no people in it because, why show anybody's face? And I was like, man, that's the kind of thoughtfulness that I'm looking for. A lot of the time. And I just think you guys have really outdone yourselves in terms of thinking about privacy, data privacy, which is huge, and building in the functionality and all of that. So just awesome.
So, I think something to maybe foot stomp a little bit is our belief is, and in the security world, you'll talk about it in terms of ABAC, right? Attribute basic access control. The idea being you should be able to have access to everything you're allowed to have access to, unfettered, but only if you're authorized to have access to it, right? And so,
and not
what
a
our
single
belief
thing
is,
more.
Exactly. And look, if your lodge or your Grand Lodge, wants to make things public, that's your decision. We're not here to stand in the way of that. But what our belief is it's like a pendulum, right? We got dinged for having no information anywhere. It was all on paper. Nobody could ever get to it. How do we ever use this stuff? And the response was, oh my God, put everything online, right? And we think that went too far. We would rather say, look, don't put anything online except for, hey, how do you contact someone? And it's a quiet form. And if you're interested in membership, you'll fill it out. But if you're a Mason, the information should be digital and should be available if you need it, because we know you're authorized to have it. So that's the balance we're trying to strike. And I think we've done an okay job of it, to be maybe a little bit arrogant, but I think it's something we really care about.
So Jeremy, I'm gonna throw a big grenade in the room, but I'm curious. When recognition, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. When it comes to recognition, we have different Grand Lodges recognizing different bodies, different orders, like say Prince Hall counterparts. Have you all been approached by anybody from other obediences, like LDH or female craft basins, to say, hey, how can we get in on the goodness that is Amity?
We figured it would only be a matter of time with this crowd that comes up.
Well, it's funny because I'm sitting here and a good friend of mine who's a female craft mason texts me and says, "Man, I want the Amity app now." So I figured I had to ask.
So look, I think there's a couple things to say, and the thing that we have said so far is we are working really hard to get it working right for Masons that we're familiar with, and we're finally getting to the point where that's getting stable, right? And taking that approach, to be honest, has allowed us to build trust with people who might otherwise say, we get the question all the time, oh my God, you have an unrecognized Grand Lodge here. And I give the example of Scotland and New York. Nobody's sitting here saying that Scottish Masons are not real anymore, or that New York Masons aren't real anymore, but the fact is they don't recognize each other, right? So I'm not here, and we're not here to judge who is and is not a Mason. And our personal position, at some point, it's better to have as much as we can in the app so that we can tell you what you can't visit. But that said, we're working really hard to get our recognition system to the point where it can handle things, for example, like LDH, which from the perspective of most Grand Lodges is not regular or recognized. And again, the LDH folks, this is no statement on them, but we want to make sure that we don't have any bleed over in either direction, right? I mean, you hear a lot of people talk about female masonry, and the fact of the matter is they don't want us in their lodges, right? So we don't want to bleed into their system either. And at some point, I'm sure it'll happen, but for right now, we want to make sure that we get everything right before we take a step that we can't back out
of. Juan, I saw you were getting ready to jump in.
I don't know if I fell on that grenade well enough, but
you
I think you saved your buddies from getting fragged.
Okay, so
Michael will
I
kill
just
me
wanted
later.
to.
It's okay.
We've been talking about a lot of technical aspects of it, and I'm we really appreciate the hard work that goes behind that. Of course, if you don't have the security, then you basically have a foundationless structure. So I admire the fact that you are putting the 3 pillars. Obviously, Joseph claimed that it was beauty was his. So thank you for thank you.
It's the hair.
Thank you, the rest of you, for wisdom and strength. But from a practical point of view, let's say, and this is a dilemma that's been happening in my lodge. We had an application that we were using for communication purposes in the lodge, and some of the older, less tech savvy members became very comfortable with it. Now, it was a free app that we got customized for us, and that went the way that any, a lot of these other group communication apps come, unless they have a solid, profitable business plan. They just realize, okay, this is not worth my time. So for us to transition to a new app, for us to communicate as a lodge, it was very difficult. But it took the effort of us showing these members, okay, look, let me just show you. Here's where you go. Here's what you do. And then they were like, oh, crap. This is even better. This is great. Now, bringing that to Amity and in our physical lodge, to check if someone's lodge is in Amity with our lodge, we would have to go get that yellow book and look through it. And it is, if you have to look, especially here in Central Florida, we have to look for brothers from Brazil all the time. Brazil has 100,000 Grand Lodges. And if we don't find the right Grand Lodge to check, that, we are taking all this time that we could be interacting with that brother before the meeting, sitting down for dinner, comparing, how our lodges are with theirs, and having these bonding conversations. Instead, we used to be bogged into this book, trying to figure out whether we could sit with them in lodge or not. So from a practical point of view, the brothers that are watching and listening, this is a great tool to expedite that connection. This is seamless. Let's find out if this lodge is in amity with ours. Now we can talk a little bit more freely. And with the King Solomon's Pass, you can go an even deeper level and say, like, oh, you are cool to talk with. So, I invite all the brothers to check this out if your Grand Lodges are using it, because this is the future. And I'm not trying to, blow smoke. Like, I appreciate that you've done this. Otherwise, we would have to be buying a yellow book every year.
Every year, yeah.
That by month 2 is already obsolete with all the edicts and
So Juan, let me put your desire to the test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the Amity app, right? Mm-hmm. This is my app right now. And actually, if you don't mind, John, zoom back out so everybody can see the whole group, because I'm going to ask you guys, one of you guys, to open up your own Amity app. And what I'm going to do is here on the bottom, let's see if I can do this backwards. This is my status page, and it should, no, I'm not hitting it. There we go. And that is the code. And so my request of you guys, somebody pull out your phone and scan my QR code. Right, okay, so John's got it. So John, you want to turn your screen around? And so there you go. Now, John, do me a favor. Tap on the good standings section.
Got to see if you're sketchy or not. Let's see. Good standing. Yep.
So where it says that, yep, okay. So now you've got my Grand Lodges that I'm a member of, and do me a favor and tap on either of those two Grand Lodges in the app. And so just like that, that tells you exactly what the deal is between Virginia and DC.
Recognition.
Right? And it's really
Nice.
that simple. It's a scan and 2 taps, and I can tell you right now, great. I can come into your lodge, or you can come into mine. And so Juan, what we're super excited about is tying these things together in a way that allows brothers to not even have to think about what the process is. Just tap a few buttons, and we do all the hard work in the background for you.
Look,
no more
if it
flipping
works,
through books and magnifying glasses and what have you.
if it works live over the internet across multiple screens, like it will
Right.
work face to face. Right? That's amazing.
Mine's
And
in my
Juan's
wallet.
got the next piece too. Yep.
Hold that up
So,
again.
Yeah, mine's in my wallet. Wait, this is impossible to do backwards.
So your iPhone wallet there, right?
And and I click, and that's all you got to do is scan that.
Nice.
And this is
Yep.
this is a free
And
version
I'm
for
scanning it
any
right
Grand
now.
Lodge that's out there. So we've done that for New York. Not only are the QR scans on the dues cards, but if someone leaves their dues card at home, they still have their Amity app account in their phone and their iWallet that they can go and they can scan into Lodge, and you have it for free for both of those technologies.
So again, this is not new technology. We are not the only people in the world using QR codes or NFC tags or anything like that. But what we're trying to do is say Freemasonry is built on a system of processes, and those processes are important. And what we've been able to do is say there are some processes that have to happen in person. You got to get tried by a Tyler, right? No app is ever going to do that. But some processes are administrative. And we see no reason why the administrative stuff has to be done in pencil and paper anymore. It just doesn't make sense today.
I think it's a great way to wrap up the show. So let's go around for shameless plugs and final thoughts as we bring it on home. And we'll start with, why not Juan? Let's start with Juan tonight.
I started my slow clap. I'm sure people at home saw it and they started clapping. Yeah, there's no reason to be bogged down. We are the oldest fraternity in the world, and there's no reason for us to behave as such. We need to behave with the honor that comes with that antiquity, not with the old technologies of it. Lodges and independent bodies, for the love of God, please accept PayPal. I just beg you. I beg you.
The square,
Anybody
the
with
square.
any
Get on the square.
Jesus. I had to order checks earlier this year just so that I could pay dues. It's the dumbest thing. But anyway, I appreciate any effort that we can put together to make sure that we remove the superfluities and inefficiencies of our organization so that then we can dwell in that majesty and beauty that comes with initiatic experience, with the further development of the character, with all the beautiful things that we joined this fraternity for. That's what's valuable. And the more we're bogged down by pencils, papers, forms, and checks, the less we can spend time with the other things. So thank you, brothers, for being with us. And for all who are listening or watching, make sure to subscribe and tell someone who hasn't heard about us and about the work that we do. Let them know about the Masonic Roundtable. We try to talk about topics that are going to help you in your journey to becoming a perfect Ashlar. We hope that you find these videos and podcast episodes useful, and that you share them with someone. There's someone out there who needs to hear some of the things that we've discussed in the show. And finally, I invite you, brothers, to go find my YouTube channel, The Gentleman's Brotherhood, where it's not a Masonic show, but it is about helping men in their growth as gentlemen. So if that sounds like something interesting, if you think that's important for us to carry ourselves with dignity and honor, go check it out, thegentleman'sbrotherhood.com. Thank you, brothers.
Love it. All right. Thank you, Juan. Let's go over to Robert.
Well, It's always fun to talk about tech because, that's what we deal with day in and day out, especially on this particular program that was a technology experiment from John Ruark. John loved another podcast, and he said, "Hey, can we do that for Freemasonry?" And he did it. So in that same vein, I just think that Amity has been really cool since the get-go. There were some initial hiccups where Grand Lodges said things, or rumors were spread, and we always went like, say it ain't so. Jeremy and Mike are so cool. They just wouldn't do that. And you know what? They weren't those kind of people, and they never have been. I think really the app itself has been something that I've just been really excited about. We've only got a few members of my particular lodge who have really dug in, and I think that's because they're really waiting for this version 3.0. A lot of the great things that you guys have implemented. You streamlined the sign-ins and all of these other things so that it is just a couple taps. It's no more having to remember this or remember that. It's all there, and it's just really convenient, and I love it. So I want to thank Jeremy, Mike, and especially your new team member who has helped bring a lot of this to light. So thank you to you guys. It's been really exceptional. I want to echo Juan's sentiments. All of you York Rite and Scottish Rite, well, most of the Scottish Rite bodies are cool now, but York Rite bodies, man, get with the times. It'd be really rad to not have to write checks or, send an envelope with money in it. That being said, please check out Whence Came You Masonic Podcast, Sunday nights, 9:30, every week of the year, except the last two. And yeah. Check out MasonicCon Chicago happening next month, September 18th. We have a limited in-person engagement, which means if you don't have a ticket already, it's not going to happen.
Ooh.
But we do have a digital ticket that will get you access to 99% of all the things that we'll be doing. So check that out, and I hope you guys have an amazing week, rest of the week, and a great weekend. Thanks.
What a nice guy. So since we're on to special thanks, let's head over to the Amity guys, and I'll let you guys chip in with your final thoughts. Anything else that you forgot to add, or anything else that you want to chime in with?
No, I'd just like to thank you guys for inviting us again and showcasing the new version. It's always a pleasure to be here, and thank you guys for doing what you're doing. Just like we discussed, we've kind of brought new insight to different areas of the craft. You guys are doing the exact same thing, and many years from now, people will look back and it will be these types of things that change the craft for the better. So with that, I guess I'll share a little Bobby Burns. And within this dear mansion, may wayward contention or withered envy ne'er enter. May secrecy round be the mystical bound, and brotherly love be the center. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Ooh, nice.
I just want to chime in too and say, look, it's been great getting to know you guys personally. I think I would be not too far off if I see each one of you have become friends on a personal level, and we really appreciate being here. From a shameless plug perspective, I'll say one of the cool things we added that we didn't cover is the fact that you can now update your lodge's data and add photos of your lodge. And we've had hundreds of people do that around the world over the last few weeks since the new release. So, if you want to share something in a safe forum that is only populated by known Masons, this is the place to do it. And, go check out lodges around the world and see what they look like.
Thanks. Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, thank you a lot. This is, groups like this is truly what Masonry is. Behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. And that's what this is. This is having those discussions and really being able to live and embody what Masonry is. So thank all of you, and for everyone that's either watching live or is going to be listening to this, please check out our app, like us on Facebook and on Instagram. There's links to both of those from inside the app in the toolbar. So come and check out some of the beautiful lodges that we've been featuring every week. And thank you.
Sweet. All right, over to Jason. Final thoughts, same as plugs.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much for coming on to the show. We love you guys, and we love what you're doing for the good of the craft and masonry in general. It's so exciting to see folks like you being the vanguards of bringing masonry into the 20th century, as it were. 21st at this point in time. But, it's just, we keep pushing the fraternity forward, and the transformational efforts that are underway right now with digital Masonic education, digital validation, and the work that you guys are putting into the Amity app is really what's going to keep our Masonic experience relevant and up with the times. So you all are doing a huge service for masonry, and we just on this show really appreciate what you all are doing.
Next up, digital green beans. So get on it. There's an app for that. Okay, thanks, Jason.
Tastes like disappointment.
But you can do it from home. All right, let's see. Yeah, it's great to have you guys on. Of course, the engineer in me loves to nerd out about the tech, as you can tell, but it's also the user experience behind it. It's the why behind it, and I think you guys have really knocked it out of the park. You're providing a unique service to the craft that will help move us forward. So I think that's something to be congratulated for all the hard work you guys have done. I'm sure it's a labor of love, and it's no easy. I mean, it was alluded to in the episode, but it certainly is no easy task to work with the variety of people in Grand Lodges in order to make all these connections happen offline so that you can make a good product that is usable. And so, you're only seeing the surface of what these brothers have done as far as all the deals and negotiating to make sure that everything is on the up and up, and that they're doing the right thing. So thank you for that. And thank all of you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Keep searching for more light. Have a good night.